Hi everyone, I finally got to create the new material for the new TOEFL 2026. So here we are. I'm going to start with the videos that contain all the information you need for your new TOEFL 2026. I already made a video and explaining how this differs from the TOEFL 2023, but well, nowadays nobody is taking the 2023, everybody's taking the 2026. So we're going to start with the reading section. So, what is the content of the reading section? What will you have to do on your new reading section? There will be two modules. Remember that this is an adaptive test, so the second module depends on the first module. I already explained this in the other video. There will be three tasks. This does not mean that there will only be three questions, or does not mean that there will be just three passages. It means that there are three different types of tasks. Okay, like there's the completing the words, there is reading day in the life, like everyday language, and then there's the academic passage, but they repeat over and over in the second module. We have 35 to 48 questions, and you have 30 minutes to complete it. I'm gonna explain all of this when we see each task. So what are the tasks? We have complete the words, hangman style. I don't know if you have ever played hangman or whatever the version is in your own native language and in your country. So hangman is when you are, or a friend of yours thinks of a word and they put spaces, right, for you to guess the word, and you're supposed to guess the word, and if you don't guess the word, they start drawing a man and then they hang it. That's my short explanation. This is just a drawing, we're not really hanging a man. So if you have ever played this game, this is basically just a variation of that game. Also, if you have played Wordly, which I recommend, this is also just a variation. I will explain this in a further video. Then we that's the first task. Then we have read in daily life. This is our very similar to some old question types like the why, the main idea, and the factual questions. And this is just you're gonna read maybe like an email, a social media post, or you're gonna read an article, but a very everyday life article, like talking about just maybe fashion or politics, but everyday politics, or not politics, maybe the policy of the supermarket, whatever. And then you're going to answer questions about it. And finally, we have the read an academic passage, which is the same, is going to contain same, or it's also going to contain some old question types. They do not contain the same question types, but you can also use the old material for this one. The difference between 2 and 3, between the reading daily life and the reading academic passage, is the vocabulary and the sentence structures. The academic passage is going to be a little bit more complex. It's going to have a little bit more complicated vocabulary. Other than that, it's just reading. Okay, what are the principles? I have a video about the principles for reading. Whatever you see in my other videos will always be true, and if they stop being true, I will take down those videos so you can just use the information in general. So the first principle is only the information in the text exists. I have a full video just on this because if you internalize this is pretty much going to save your life, and it's going to allow you to get a very good score, if not a perfect score, which means we can only know what the text tells us. If the text doesn't tell us something, we're not supposed to know. How on earth are we supposed to know? Remember, this is an exam that's supposed to be taken by people all over the world. We come from all different backgrounds. We have all different life experiences. So how are we supposed to think the same? We're not really supposed to think the same. We're supposed to get the information from the text. Another principle is internal cohesion. This is very important. This is a new principle. In the old TOEFL, it didn't talk about this, even though it did exist. But in this new TOEFL, is more important. This means that the text makes sense and it will not contradict itself. It may contradict real life. It may contradict what you're thinking, but it will not contradict itself. And this is very, very, very important. And finally, better round than blank. This is a principle from the old TOEFL and from every single exam that you take that has no points against. If they're not gonna take points from you when you have a mistake, then just make a mistake, meaning not on purpose, but if you have to choose between, let's say you have A, B, C, D, right? So each is 25% chance of getting it right. And if you choose nothing, you have a 0% chance of getting it right. So if you just completely guess and you choose A, you have already increased your percent by 25. You have already increased the likelihood of getting the right answer by 25%, which is a lot. If you got a 25% increase of getting the probability of winning the lottery, you will definitely play the lottery. Okay. Uh, Now, things you do want to do, you want to be specific. Remember, words have a specific meaning, sentence structures have a specific meanings. We understand just the specific meaning. We find keywords. I also talk about this in previous videos, but remember, keywords vary from sentence to sentence or from passage to passage. So most keywords are going to be nouns, adjectives, and some adverbs, but also transition words. So don't be so strict as to all the keywords have to be transition words, period. No, the keywords is what you will focus on depending on the question, depending on the text. We'll get meaning from context. So other than the vocabulary question in which we're supposed to know the words, we're going to get the meaning of whatever word we don't know from the context, from the surrounding words. And finally, we're going to eliminate wrong answers. We are going to use process of elimination for this one. I do have a video about process of elimination. You can look it up on my page. I don't really want to go over explaining this because there's a specific video and it kind of takes time from here. Things you don't want to do. Don't try to understand everything. I know I've been talking as if you were all familiar with the content I put on, but this is maybe the first time you watch my videos. So this is a very, very important principle also for whatever test you're taking. We're not really supposed to understand everything. This is not really reading like you do reading in school or even reading in life or reading for fun. We're not really supposed to understand everything. We're supposed to just understand what we need and move on with it, because your goal here is just to get the right answer. Your goal here is not to increase the amount of knowledge you have. The goal is not to show people how well you understand things. Not even that. Even though this may be still called reading comprehension, is not really reading comprehension at all. We're not supposed to comprehend everything. Yes, we're supposed to comprehend something, but definitely not everything. Following that, we don't stop if you don't understand. I don't know if you have noticed, sometimes when you're reading an article or a book, sometimes you read a sentence, you notice you don't understand, and you go back and you reread that sentence. Well, in real life, this may be good, or sometimes when you're talking to a friend and you don't understand what that person is saying, you ask that person to repeat. Please, can you repeat what you just said? Because I didn't get it. With other words, you say that. Here, we don't care. You have to have the position of I don't care. So you read a sentence, you didn't understand, you don't care, you move on with your life. Do not stop reading, do not go back. That is a waste of time. Then we don't bring outside information. In academic passages, sometimes they're going to talk about things you know in real life, like the topics you know in real life. And sometimes they're going to say things that you know to be wrong, or at least not fully right. So it doesn't matter what you know in real life, the outside world does not exist for a TOEFL. So whatever the TOEFL say about anything that you may know about, maybe your field of study, maybe that's your work, you've been working on this for 20 years, does not matter. You do not contradict the TOEFL. Finally, same thing, do not leave unanswered questions, even when you have to fill the words and it's like, yeah, but I don't know. Just put anything, right? Just put any word that will fit in there. That's better than blank. Okay, general strategy. You may need to copy this, although I will go over this when we start seeing the specific task. You want to read and understand the question. If you notice, I'm not saying, or I'm not putting read and understand the text or the passage. We don't really care too much about understanding the passage as a whole, but we do care about understanding the question. The question is what they want you to do. What do they want from you? So you have to understand exactly what you're looking for, because if you don't know what you're looking for, you may not notice when you find it, and you may not find it. You may just overlook it. So it's very, very, very important. Do you understand the question? I'm going to change the colors. So it's very important that we understand the question. The second very important thing, keywords. Keywords are your best allies. So again, not every keyword is a transition word, not every keyword is an adjective, but in general, you have to find keywords. We solve by keywords. You're going to go to the specific part of the text, again, depending on the question type, depending on the passage. Sometimes they may refer to a very specific line or to a specific section of the text. You go there. And finally, use process of elimination. Again, you can watch the video of process of elimination. When we do the task, I am going to kind of use process of elimination, but I'm not going to fully explain it just because I have just a full video on that. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to put in the description of this video, I'm going to put a link to this presentation. I'm also in each video, I'm going to put a link to each presentation. And this is my website where you can get more free material for TOEFL and for other exams like the IELTS, SAT, GMAT, GRE. Okay, so that's it. You can leave any comments in the comment section and see you in the next video. Bye.